Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Looks good on this end. Okay, participants, just me right now, that's good. Video is showing. Hello everyone, can you hear me? Give me a sign that you're out there.
Hello.
Okay, I see I've got Anthony, Mary, and Yanira. I just want to hear from you. Can you hear me? Are you out there?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
She said she has bad internet connection, so I'm not too sure if we'll be able to
Oh,
hear
I
her.
see your chat, Yanira. You have bad internet reception. Yes, that's fine. At least I know you're out there. Anthony, can you say hello?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you
I
did.
don't hear
I'm not
you.
sure. Oh, you can't hear me?
I can see your mic is off. I can see you're saying something, but for some reason I'm not hearing you. Let's see if it's on my end. Test speaker. Let me test this quickly. No. Ah, there we go. Okay, Anthony, say something again. I think I fixed it.
How about now?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. Every so often you have to run it through its check to make sure it's working. How about you, Mary? Can you say hello? You out there, Mary? Can you?
You are
I'm sorry.
you are cutting out. I'm sorry to interrupt.
And Clarence is here too, but Mary, I think is out there. But Mary, it looks like your mic is off.
I'm here. I'm
here.
here.
You are. Okay, excellent, very good. And Yanira is here, and Clemence is joining us now. Very good. It's really important that all of you have your mics on and that we can hear each other tonight.
Hi, can y'all hear me better?
I can hear you very
Yeah.
well. Yes, very well.
We can.
Okay, good.
Okay, so
Perfect.
before I turn it over to you guys, because it's really going to be you guys doing the talking tonight, I ended up just droning on and on last week, and we certainly don't want to do that. I'd rather hear from you. So this is going to be the second week tonight, and this is the last night that we're going to focus on the Panama Canal story, and we'll talk about your reading of Silver People and your ideas about memorials, etc. I want to make you aware that next week we're going to be doing another historical epic, the Klondike Gold Rush, and it is really fascinating stuff. So what you're going to want to do is try to do as much of the reading. We're going to be on it for 2 weeks, so try to do as much of the reading as you can for our meeting on Tuesday night, but I'm also going to give you a little bit of a presentation on Tuesday night on the history of the gold rush. And then one other thing I want to make you aware of is that with next week, that's week 4, we'll be more than halfway done with the course. We only have 3 more weeks after that, which means that you've got your big final projects coming up, right? So go on to your different weeks for the week content, read the assignments, read what it is you need to do, and if you have any questions, you can contact me. But we are going to have a presentation, okay? You are going to have to do some research and choose someone to memorialize or something to memorialize. So you can read about this in the syllabus, and you can go into the week content so you can read these specific description of the assignments there. I will also for Tuesday prepare a few words about what I will be looking for to help you with these assignments. Be aware that one of these assignments is 40% of your grade. That's a lot. Discussion poster 20% so far. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually got our course site to work now. And your grading has been done for the past 2 weeks and everything's working well. So your discussion poster only 20%, but this other final thing you have to do is 40%. So it's big, and you want to take a look at what it consists of. As I told you before, this is my first time through the course, so I'm kind of finding my way myself. I'm understanding myself as we go through what it is we should be looking for and focusing on. All right, any questions before I start asking you questions about the Panama Canal? I'm going to ask you some general questions to start. Go ahead, Anthony.
I was gonna say that I'm not sure if you're aware, but you are cutting it in and out quite a bit. I'm not sure if it's just me or
Is that true for everyone? Am I cutting out, in and out?
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I thought it was my end because I was having problems earlier.
Yeah, no, I can hear you perfectly. Well, the good news is I'm not going to talk much. So let me ask, I'm going to throw a question out there and we'll see if you get you guys talking because I can hear all of you fine. And I don't have to talk tonight. I'll try to figure out a better plan for next week. Okay, let's start with something general. Silver People. You've read the book. Tell me what you think.
Um, this I well when I read it, first I was shocked. I was it was more shocked and it was unbelievable about all the stuff that they had to go through. You know, of course we don't think of well, of course you know I never thought that slaves. Well, I call them slaves.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't happen, but I didn't know. And it was just you know it was eye opening for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Was there, Mary, was there any character in particular who really spoke to you? Any person in the book that really jumped out at you?
is that in is that yeah, I'm sorry, kind of missed it. There's some background noise.
I was asking Mary. Mary, are you still with me out there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I think it was the main well the one guy at the beginning the what was his name
Mateo?
Mateo
Yeah.
Mateo. He was he was well of course you know he was an outcast because of the way he looked but he was I liked his character.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Someone else, give me Mary told us she was shocked. These were slaves for her. She knew, but she didn't know. Somebody else, weigh in on the book for me. What did you think of the book?
I think I mentioned it before. I first I thought it was like, oh, poetry just as you did, and then later on I'm I was shocked that you could put summarize a book in poetry. First off, second off, it made me just think about the socioeconomics because Mateo came from a family where his father um, abused him or beat him, and it just reminds me how we live today. Same thing. Had they not been in that condition, um, they wouldn't have to do those kinds of jobs,
Mm-hmm,
and we see that today as well.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Mateo stood out to me more than anything.
mm-hmm.
So it was. I love the book.
I love that
I
point.
have my kids actually reading it
Um,
too
I have to
because
ask
it's
you,
simple and it's.
Yanira, are you sitting in a
Mhm.
car right now? Are you in your car?
Yes, I am. Sorry. Yes, I am. This is the only way today.
Why do you have to be in your car?
Let me tell you why. So my daughter, her battery, her battery went dead, and she's in Keene, Texas. Here in Keene, Texas, it's close to Cleburne. It's like a little. She goes to Southwest University, so it's like a Christian college, but it's like in the middle of almost nowhere. So they have good reception in the college, but outside it's pretty horrible.
So
So
you need to be in the car so you can get good reception at the
well,
university, or?
well, I'm in my phone. I have my phone on,
Yep.
and since we're not close to home, the kids they're just running around, and they
Okay.
just have to wait for a little bit.
Well,
Like you were saying, sometimes we have to sacrifice a little bit, to get it
yes.
done, and that's
Yes.
today.
Well, I have to tell you, I am impressed. I'm very impressed by that. Okay, and you made a really good point. I'm writing it down as you guys are giving
Thank
me
you.
ideas here. Socioeconomic situations can force people into slavery. Slavery isn't just you go find somebody and kidnap them and bring them home. People
Mm-hmm.
can willingly and of their own free will enter into slavery situations because they're forced there, in a sense, by the socioeconomic conditions. I think it's a really, really good point. And the other point you made that really struck me is it's not much different today. How many people are in really terrible situations because they just need the money, you know, they need to do what they have to do. So very good point. Okay, let me hear from someone
And it
else.
happened to me.
Yeah.
Then that's every.
Go ahead, Yanier.
And I relate. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, we cut you off.
I was just saying every. No, you're fine. I'm just saying that. In Texas, I live in Pleasant Grove, and it's like a little area in Dallas. Very high crime. Very schools are horrible. I went to those schools, and that's the reason why at 16 I started working. So started working at 16. Forget school. I was trying to help my mom out.
Yeah.
And it's just I relate to him a little bit. It's hard. It's hard when you live like that. You have to work hard to
Yeah.
get just food on the table.
Yeah. Just to survive. Okay, very good. Okay, somebody else. Let me hear you talk about the book, character that really jumped out at you. We've got some good ideas so far.
I I liked Mateo a lot too. One of the things that stood out to me that I think Mary mentioned, I don't have the best memory, but that there was a lot of I think he mentioned that there was a lot of different people there. Like there's Americans, Frenchmen, Dutch, Spaniards, Greeks. I know all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was surprising that even though they're all together working on the same goal, there was still a lot of separation in between them, between ideologies, ethics. Some people just don't get along. That happens today too. Like you just can't go into the store and you see a whole bunch of different people, and everyone's like sort of judging each other sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty interesting, and that kind of stood out to me a little bit more. And then
Well, I got to say, Anthony, that's an extraordinary insight. It really is. It certainly hadn't occurred to me. But let me see if I can put it in my own words, and you tell me if I'm right. You look at the story, you find all these different nations represented, all these different diverse peoples, and they all have one goal, which is to build the Panama Canal. And yet, so much separation between them, so much
Right.
discord and disharmony between them. So the one goal was not sufficient enough to make them one people. I think that's basically your point. Is that right?
yeah. So like even today, like all we have a goal is survive, feed, have a family, or do whatever we need to do. But people are always judging or being racist or doing something discriminating just to block those others from getting what they want to do, and it's really depressing to see all that happen.
Yeah. You know, you've got me thinking now, Anthony. You'd think we human beings would recognize that we all have certain common goals. We need to eat. We need a place to live. We need clothing. We need education. You would think that the awareness of these common goals would bring us all together. But like you point out, it seems like a common goal isn't enough. There's racism, there's economic status differences, there's pride, snobbery, whatever it is.
Yeah. I'm not trying to bring politics into this, but like in today, for example, Republicans and Democrats. I think I was watching a documentary the other day, and it said if you were to sit down two major Republicans and a major Democrat and a major Republican, you would find out at the end of the day they want the same solution for the country, and it's getting there is the issue because there's somewhat different ideologies, and some people are worse than others in trying to get to that place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy that some people just can't agree on certain things or try and fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anthony, I lost you.
You did?
Yeah, there you go. You're back. You're back now. Very good.
Okay.
Go on. You were saying about Democrats and Republicans, and I think we could talk about the mess of our country right now without falling on one side or the other. I think we all know there's a problem here. They're not feeling a sense of unity. They're not coming together, right? Yeah, very good. In our last week, or one of the last weeks, we're going to talk about Mount Rushmore. So maybe we can get more political and talk about Trump in front of Mount Rushmore. That should be very interesting. Okay, so we've heard from 3 people about the book. I still need to hear from Clemence. And I think we're missing someone tonight too. Sayed is missing tonight. But Clemence, do you have any opinions for us about the book? Anything to say to us about it?
Well, well, actually, I'm still going to talk about the little Mateo.
Go ahead.
You know, it's so impressive how a 14 years old boy he's been forced to be an adult so soon, you know, because when you read the book, at the 14 years old, he wants to get away from home. So he's willing to take a job and go anywhere that's going to take him away from home, from his drunk father. And he understands so much for that little age. So he's really impressive. I mean, I really enjoyed, you know, reading about his journey. I mean, the beginning of his journey from Cuba to Panama.
Mm. Yes. Well, he's really, I think, the central figure. There are other characters in the story who get a lot of time, but he's the one who gets us started. He's the one we mainly travel with through the story. He's impressive. But I have to say he wasn't my favorite character because I'm a scholar, and so the character I liked the best was Augusto, you know. But can anybody tell me, in light of what Anthony just said a few minutes ago, why is Augusto's story so interesting? What happens to Augusto? Do y'all remember who Augusto is in the story?
I'm trying to.
Okay, I can see Anthony. I can see your mic is
Can you hear
on,
me? I'm
but
sorry. He's a Puerto Rican artist.
yes. And he's more than an artist, though. What else does he do? He has a very strange trajectory in the story. You're right. He's an artist, but he's more than an artist. So what happens to him in the story?
I'm sorry, you were cutting in and out. What was that?
What is Augusto's story? What happens to him in the story? Can everybody hear me? I mean, did you read the book? No, Anthony, I can't hear you.
I'm not sure if it's me. It's coming in and out on my.
Huh. I can hear you fine, so you guys can talk. Unless I know you're having trouble hearing me, but I can hear you. So jump in there and speak. Except Anthony, I can't hear you for some reason. You know what you guys can do? You can go down to your microphone icon and have it test. Like select the button and it'll ask you if you want to test the speaker and the microphone. Okay? And if you answer yes to the question, then you should be good. Yeah, we're really losing each other here. I don't know what else to do.
End.
Go ahead, Yanira. I'm going to type the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not finished with the book.
Ah, okay. Well, that's honest at
Okay,
least, rather than
I'm hearing the question. I'm not sure if I'm going through.
okay.
Yes. No,
Um,
I'm not sure if I'm going through, if y'all can hear, but if y'all can, I'm not finished with the book, to be honest.
yes, I can hear you, Yanira, and that's good. Thank you for telling me that, because at least then I know why people aren't answering my question. Augusto is an interesting character because he is an artist, but he's also a scientist, right? And he's hired and he's allowed to be in the high level group of people, because at first all they care about is they need his services. They don't see the color of his skin. They don't care what race he is. And it's only when the administration changes that now all of a sudden, just because of the race question, he's sent down to the lower level, if you remember that in the story. Okay, we'll move on because that didn't seem to be, you don't seem to have a great sense of the story there. How about we move to another aspect of the Panama Canal issue? Who, of all the people that you read about, I'll type this in the chat too, okay? Of all the people you read about concerned with the Panama Canal, who do you think deserves a memorial? And that doesn't have to be an individual, it could be a group. What do y'all think of that? Of everything you know now about the Panama Canal, who, individual or group, or even an event, what do you think should be memorialized?
Be honest with you. I can tell you, I think that the entire workforce should be memorialized. I do not believe myself that, and I think I put this in my discussion, I think I did, that not one person should be memorialized, or no person should have a statue of themselves, in my opinion.
Why do you think that, Yanira?
Their work should be, or if they did something, because I feel like at that point we start idolizing the person, and people, us humans, we make mistakes. And I personally am in the belief that no person should be idolized because we're not perfect. Yes, we may have done great works, but a lot of us may have done great works and they're just not in the books. There's many people who have fed the hungry, many people who have given up organs to help another person in need. And in that case, you know, that I might feel like that person needs a statue. So if someone changed history or the course of history for the better, I think their work should be memorialized in a way, but not the person themselves, my opinion.
Well, because I think what you're saying is because they need other people to help them do the job, right? Very good. Let's hear about from somebody else.
Exactly. It wasn't just one person.
It's everybody. Yes, very good. Somebody else giving an opinion. Who or what would you memorialize from the Panama Canal?
I would, me personally, I think I would just do like the cluster of men, of from all the different countries, representing all of the back-breaking work that they did to build the Panama Canal. I would just do a cluster of them. I would probably do like you know, one person from Jamaica, one person from where were they at?
Cuba,
Greece. Yeah, I think I would just do it, and then have them all clustered together, and then just put them, you know, as workers of Panama Canal.
Very good. And I like how you have each nationality or trying to represent the nationalities, although that could be problematic because I think we saw that there were like 50 different nations represented in the building of the Panama Canal. Go ahead. Let me hear, Anthony, did you have an opinion
Can you
about
hear
this?
me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Sorry, I had to leave the call and try to join. I wanted to see if that would work. It did. Honestly, I think it should be, like Nira said, it should be the generalized population or the people that work there. It should represent everyone who died, everyone who worked there pretty much gave their lives because a lot of people went there and promises like Mateo went there and promises of good money and wages and stuff like that, but they got paid like crap, while
Yeah.
other people got paid better and had better situations, obviously. So even though there's a lot of separation in there, there should still be a memorial representing everyone, not just the higher up people, but
Mhm,
the
mhm.
lower class people that were living there too. Because if you just represent the higher up people, like the memorial of the engineer, it's like okay, he kind of designed it. A lot of people died because these people were designing it themselves, and then they kind of forced these people into labor, especially whenever I forgot who the president was at the time.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Um,
Theodore
I
Roosevelt.
forgot his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever he put in martial law, a lot more people died afterwards.
Mhm, mhm,
And it wasn't until those people died, a lot of the Americans died at that point, till the Americans started rising up, saying
mhm,
like, "Hey, this is wrong. A lot of people are dying here. We need to do something about it."
mhm,
Whereas if people were from foreign, they didn't really care too much.
mhm. Well,
So
let
I
me
think the
let me ask
people of the lower class too.
let me ask you guys this. Okay, so we memorialize. We want to have a memorial that captures the fact that this was a collective effort. This wasn't any individual effort. This was a collective effort. So then, how would you do this part of the memorial? Would you make the memorial an image of what is tragic, what was suffering, what was injustice, or would you make the memorial emphasize the triumph, the victory of having built this thing? What would be the theme of the memorial? Because you've told me you want to memorialize everyone. What would be the theme? Go ahead, Clemence. Clemence, did you want to speak?
Actually, I have the memorial, so um, I may be mistaken, but before the Panama Canal was built, there was a land and people were living there,
Yes.
and there were like the green, nature and all that, the forest and all that. So if we only memorialize
Mm-hmm.
the people that built the canal, how are you going to tell the history or the story of people that were there before, or what was it before the Panama Canal? So in my opinion, what I will one thing I would want to make a monument of will be the green, the forest, and what the land was before the Panama Canal. Because before that, there were people living there. There were, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that was
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's land. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes,
So yours would be more a commemoration of what is lost.
yes, right.
Yeah. But what about the fact that, let me throw this out there and see what you think. An incredible engineering feat was accomplished, one of the greatest engineering uh, achievements in the history of the world, still to this day. And doesn't that doesn't that say something about what was lost? Doesn't it say something about the suffering and the injustice? Do we just forget that?
Well, if you forget it, history will just repeat itself.
What do you mean?
Like if you just forget it, it's gonna end up happening again. Like we can learn from stuff like World War II because it's well known and stuff like that. So if you put something out there, then it's never forgotten. So, well, some people forget it, but it's more well known than what the Panama Canal was. It's not gonna less of a chance it's gonna happen again.
But couldn't you say, Anthony, that sometimes humanity needs great things to be done, and that means there's going to be people and other goods that are going to be sacrificed? Isn't that part of the human story?
Yes, but with as far as technology has gone so far, I think that there shouldn't be an excuse to try to find a way to to make those sacrifices,
Mhm.
especially when you're trying to build some. I mean, I understand because back they were still using steam powered
Mhm.
stuff, and electricity was just starting to like develop, and it was major. So I understand back then, but today, no, there should be no.
Well, what if we
I was gonna
want?
say,
Go
even
ahead.
if there are sacrifices to,
Go ahead,
so
Louise.
I was gonna say, if even if there are sacrifices, can you all hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So even if there are sacrifices to build something, we're still gonna tell the stories. Just because people or stuff or things were sacrificed to build something doesn't mean they have to be forgotten, you know. So we still have to tell the story in our own way. So we still have to acknowledge that there were sacrifices,
Hmm.
and that was important. It might not have been important. We may have, call it, little sacrifices, but people lost something that was important to them.
Yes, yes. Um, if we want to memorialize the Panama Canal, you've all agreed that the people that have to be more memorialized are the people who did the work, the collective. Um, and so, how is that? What message is that memorial going to give the future? Is it going to say we should never try these kinds of achievements because too much is sacrificed, nature is lost, people are displaced, injustice is done, people are turned into slaves? So is the message of your memorial going to be we should never attempt these enormous achievements? Or is the message of your memorial going to be, yes, this was an incredible victory, this was an incredible achievement, and we acknowledge that it was a good thing, but we also acknowledge that there were these incredible losses and sacrifices? Which side do you fall on? Because it's kind of like you can't have both, right? You have to be one or the other.
Well, just like you said, we also, I mean, yes, the most of us said that we will, said about the workers, but we also, I guess we're kind of forgetting about, I don't know how to say his last name, but it's George Washington. Is it Goldteeth, the
Girdles?
engineer?
Yeah, yeah, girdles.
I'm, yes, his, yeah. I mean, he already has a monument up for the great work that he did, because the Panama Canal, was it 2 years early?
Yes,
I believe that's what I read. I believe he
yes.
finished it 2 years earlier than what expected. But, but one thing and maybe I didn't read it, but I mean, we should also, again, he should also be in that as well, even though he already has one,
Hmm.
because maybe if it wasn't for him taking over, because he wasn't the first engineer,
Hmm.
maybe if it wasn't for him taking over, it wouldn't have been done as fast
Yeah, I think that's
or
true.
as
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I think that's very true. Do we honor him? Because remember what he had to do. He was ruthless. He was brutal. And though it's true he did care more for the living conditions of the
Hmm.
people working there, he was also really a brutal slave driver for the work. So should we be honoring him at all?
Well, could we say it was because he was military? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we're trying to find an excuse for him now. It's, oh, he's a military guy. Um, he,
I think y'all know my opinion on this.
mhm. Go ahead, tell us again, Yanira. Just explain it to us.
You're cutting out.
Oh no, I don't believe one person should be,
Hmm.
you know, just one person themselves.
Hmm.
The collective, as you mentioned. But to be honest with you, this generation, I do not see them ripping a whole 51 miles across, because they're more, they care more about the earth. I've noticed myself.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're more into going green, or taking care of their bodies and not harming the planet, as opposed to earlier generations.
Mhm.
I don't think they would do it in this way, in that way. I mean, I read stories where the people that were working there were ran over
Mhm.
by the steam trucks themselves because they couldn't even hear,
Yeah.
or they couldn't even hear that the trucks were coming because there was so much noise.
Yeah.
There was malaria, there was mosquitoes. They had to go in there and remove all the waste that was collecting. I mean, and then they had the gold people that were paid with gold and bachelor pads, and they wouldn't even do. I don't feel this generation, and I'm hoping the future generations would do that. To be honest with you, they would go a different route. They
But
care more about the earth.
uh,
I
uh, I,
feel.
I could say something about that, but maybe your classmates would like to say something first. Anybody want to answer Yanira there? Do you agree with her? Do you think that today's generation would not participate in something like the Panama Canal?
Um, I'm gonna put it this way. From what I've seen, people, a lot of people I've seen, it's in today's generation, the younger generation, I should say, they're a bunch of assholes. I'm gonna put that out there now. Um, at least all the ones I've met, they really don't care. They they're smoking young, throwing their buds out everywhere.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's bad. I mean, some of them just don't even care about the atmosphere or anything.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, some of them probably do. Me and my friends do. I'm not too sure what you would consider the younger generation because I'm only 21. So, um, I might.
But we're talking
Well,
about telling history. So how are they gonna know if we don't teach them?
Hmm.
So I think that's where we come into play. We have to teach them how to do that too.
Hmm.
You know, we're talking about reflecting. We're talking about teaching the other generation uh, how to do stuff. So what if we, like right now we're studying the Panama Canal and all that. So whatever we don't feel like was done right,
Hmm.
you can, we can
Hmm.
teach them. That's
Hmm.
basically what I want to say. You can try, at least try your best to teach them instead of just being,
Hmm. Well, Clemence, what kind of things do you need to teach them?
just,
What are the things that
yeah.
you want to teach them? Because my question, I'll go back to my question again. Do we look at a story like the Panama Canal, this incredible achievement, but so much suffering, so much injustice, so much was lost? Is the answer that we simply don't attempt any such great marvels like the Panama Canal again? Yanira says that she doesn't think this generation of young people would ever make the same kind of mistakes again because they care about the environment. They wouldn't attack nature or destroy nature. I mean, and then Anthony says, no, this generation doesn't give a care about anything. So they would. What is it that if you say you want to teach them, what is it that we want to teach them?
Well, we want to teach them everything about the environment. They might, they maybe they know, but you have to insist, right? You might want to teach them about the environment.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to teach them about the importance of a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let them know, hey, the Panama Canal is a great, build for the history and all that, but there are things more important than that.
See, this is
So
exactly my point. What you just said is exactly my point. Do we want to tell this generation that they should achieve these incredible marvels, an engineering marvel, that they should, I don't know, go to Mars, which is what we talk about all the time now, the space program. Do we want to teach our young people that to really reach far and do bold things? Or do we want to teach them what you're saying?
honest, in my opinion, okay, yeah, in my opinion, I don't think it's a yes or no question. We can teach them how to mitigate, the damages, right? We can teach them how to, hey, instead of sacrificing people, work together
Mm-hmm.
and get it done,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like everybody said, creating like a memorial of a group of people working together. Maybe that's a way to teach them. Maybe
Mhm.
that's a way to let them know, hey, working together, maybe that's the key. We don't have to sacrifice anybody,
Mhm.
right? We can work together voluntarily. If somebody doesn't want to be in there, he can go elsewhere. But that's the idea, working together and get it done.
Well,
Uh, Go ahead,
if you
Anthony.
don't mind me cutting in,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
there's the Iwo, I think it's the Iwo Jima Memorial
Yes,
in
yes, yeah.
Washington D.C. That, as she was saying, that is a group of people, a group of Marines hoisting a flag up,
Mhm.
and that will probably stay there forever. There's not many people trying to take it down. It's there,
It's true.
and it represents a group of people who fought, lived, and they did a lot of stuff for this country. If you were to do that for a lot of other memorials, you really can't just say like, oh, Confederate dude, bad, bad.
Yeah.
If it's a group of people representing something, then it's a lot harder to take it down or infer.
And I'm sorry to interrupt as well. To answer your question, Doctor
Yeah.
Nicolosi, I think no, the generation should not be told not to do both things, not to do great things. They should, but they should learn from our mistakes.
Mhm.
And that's what my point is. I don't think, well, I'm hoping, because with Anthony, younger generation, I'm 38. So to me, I guess anybody younger than me, but I have brothers and sisters, they're in their 20s, 25s, 26. And I tell them all the time, go
Yeah.
big or go home. But I see them caring more for their earth, for themselves,
Mhm.
for their health. And I love that about
Mhm.
that y'all's generation, the younger generation.
Mhm.
And I think they can do way bigger and better things than we did,
Mhm.
but taking care of our earth.
Mhm.
So yes, I think they should be told to do great things and learn from our mistakes.
So the question is not, the problem is not doing great things. The problem is that we have not the problem, but what we must do is learn to do great things in a better way. That's what I'm hearing from you all. We need to teach the future generation to
You must
accomplish. Go ahead, Anthony.
you must learn from the consequences of what was already done
Mhm.
in order to achieve a great goal. In other words,
Yes, very nice. So what I got from that, from what you just said, is that if we don't teach history to our young people, then these mistakes are going to be repeated in the future. These abuses, this kind of injustice, this kind of suffering will be repeated because we're not teaching them. We're not teaching them that some of these great accomplishments were purchased with very, very high a price. Clemence, do you want to comment again?
yeah, it's just like the. Oh, my bad.
Yes, I was gonna say yes. That's basically the idea, right? And the a better way, as we're talking about memorials and monuments, so a better way to teach them would be not just story, but show them. So that's gonna have a little more impact than just telling a story, like watching a movie or whatever.
Yes.
Bringing them to a place where we have a monument with everybody that walked to, or everybody that walked and everybody that died or
Yeah.
whatever that was sacrificed
Mhm.
to build the monument, to build the wall. It's going to show them the impact, the good and the bad.
Mhm. Mhm. So that they really learn what happened.
Well,
Right.
Uh,
I, I was gonna say it's just like the pyramids in the Great Wall of China. Many people died building those, and yet we still keep on building these massive structures where
yes.
people die. A lot of
Yeah.
people die,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if a lot of people actually know that a lot of people died building these
Mhm.
things. But
Mhm. And many others. That's an excellent point, Anthony, because we.
I think there's a difference though.
Mhm. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I think there is a difference though, because we can already see the difference between back then and now. Back then you were forced to do that,
Mhm.
right? Now you're not that, you're not really forced. I mean, I know economical situation can kind of like force you in a way,
Mhm.
but you're not like a slave. You're not
Mhm.
put into slavery to build those things.
Mhm.
Why you have the choice, you can make the choice. I do it or I don't.
Mhm.
And then when you do it, that's for sure. People are still dying, but it's just a different way.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's a better way because there's still kind of like a pressure,
Mhm.
putting pressure on people's mind, on people's economics,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
forcing kind of like forcing them in a way
Yeah.
to do stuff that they don't have a choice to do. But at least it's different than uh, bidding you to do something and you
Mhm.
don't have a choice. You can go nowhere. You can do nothing.
Yes, clearly there's a
So
difference
because
there.
I
Yeah.
think we can see the change already, but not,
Yeah.
maybe I mean
It's still
I
not
mean,
really a collective effort. Go ahead, Anthony.
because I wouldn't say there's much of a difference because I can't remember what his name was. I think it was the first dude that came in from America that was building it.
Mhm.
Um, he quit after like I think it was like a couple months or a couple years. He
Yes.
quit saying it was no longer a challenge. He went somewhere else,
Yeah.
and that made the president mad at the time. And so he sent one of his generals in. He's like he can't quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was, and then he forced the martial law at that point. So there kind of was sort of like
Yeah.
slavery. They didn't really have a choice because it was martial law at that point.
Yes. Yes. His name was John Stevens. He was the first engineer, and he didn't stick it out. You're right. So it does look quite a bit like slavery, although they did sign up for it in a sense. I want to point out though that as bad as the conditions were that produced the pyramids and the Great Wall, we respect those huge artifacts to this day. They make us marvel and fill us with wonder even to this day. But no one hardly ever talks about the suffering, the sacrifice, the loss of life. Um, it seems to be a tension at the heart of human achievement that some people have to pay the price for it. And I want to throw this one out here too. See what you guys think of this. It's been said that ever since Christianity, human beings are really stuck on finding Messiah type people. In other words, they want a single leader who they put all of their hopes on, and they want this leader to act with absolute certainty and thoroughness. So, like we talked about, Goethals has his monument, his memorial for the Panama Canal. And all of you said one person, maybe not, shouldn't, because there's so many people built this. There shouldn't be just one statue to one man. That's not right. And yet, there is this tendency in us to want to worship one person as being responsible for the entire thing. What do you think of that?
I think it's very true, and unfortunately, it's even in the Bible. Thou shalt not have any other idols before me,
Yes.
and we do that. We idolize. People build up idols for saints or for their beliefs and worship them. So you're right. We do tend to do that, and in my opinion, that is not correct. And that's why having one structure for one person, in my opinion, also is not correct.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Good point. One of the characters in the story who's so incredibly important in American history is President Theodore Roosevelt. Remember, he visits the canal because they're not working fast enough or good enough, and he shows up and he's full of enthusiasm and he wears his big white hat and he rides on the machines. Theodore Roosevelt, we call him Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt is one of the most impressive American presidents in our history. He was a hero in the Spanish-American War. He led a famous charge with his men who were called the Rough Riders. They charged up San Juan Hill together with Teddy in the lead, and he became a hero, a national hero. Um, he became a symbol for American industry, success, world power, right? Do you think today we think of our presidents that way? Do you think today you could have a Teddy Roosevelt?
No.
Why not, Anthony?
I think we've lost all respect for our presidents. And for,
Let's go
You
back
can
to
go ahead,
Anthony.
Yanira.
No, Anthony, you go. Your
Oh,
turn.
okay. I was gonna say no because, like, as she was about to say, we've lost a lot of respect for our presidents. As of lately, there's a lot more separation. Obama, everyone got mad at him because they said he wasn't from here. He's black. A lot of issues. Trump, people say he's a racist. A lot of things. Everyone's saying something about a president. We can't all gather behind a single president, and we can't really gather behind all these great war presidents because there is no war.
Well,
There's no.
there are struggles. There are things that need to be done.
There's struggles, but like you don't have presidents or great generals today trying to run for president.
It's true, Anthony.
Or
But
like
let
you
me
don't
ask
have
you this,
generals
because
running in.
let me ask you, because your generation interests me. I'm a dinosaur. My generation's over, but you're of the young generation, and I have to ask you. We have so many problems in this country. People can't pay for education. They can't pay for health care. We have so many problems. Do you think it would work better if we just had a Teddy Roosevelt? If we just had one person who just told us what to do, who took the reins in his hands and got it done? What do you think?
No, I don't, because no matter where you go today, people are so soft. They will complain about anything. They will find something to complain about.
So what do you?
Just the smallest detail, they will find something wrong with it. Manipulate.
So are you saying that we couldn't really have a strong leader? Not because there wouldn't be somebody we could find, but because we ourselves wouldn't be able to work behind somebody? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Wow.
The people, I think the people itself is weak and not Meagle, I don't know, weak, and I don't think a lot of the people alone have the strength to do what somebody would have to do. I can't remember who said it, but if you're not willing to make harm, you are not strong enough mentally. I forgot. I have to look the quote up, but
yeah, I find this very interesting what you're saying, because I was born in 1962. The very next year, John F. Kennedy was assassinated in November of 1963, and but I grew up in the shadow of the Kennedy experience. And one of the things Kennedy did, he announced to the world one day, I think he was giving a speech at a university, he said, "We're going to go to the moon. The United States is going to go to the moon," which was astounding because we had lost the space race to the Russians. The Russians were way ahead of us. Of course, it was the Soviet Union back then. But Kennedy boldly said, "We are going to the moon." He never lived to see it. But as soon as he said that, the entire country was behind the project. Your greatest, your best, and your brightest, your bravest. They had to find men to go up there. Everybody was in a spirit of self-sacrifice to get to the moon. Do you think that could happen now?
is this a question for me in general, or is this
Not just Anthony, anybody. Anybody can jump in. Anthony's been great. Maybe I should hear from somebody else. Do you guys think that we could get behind one person? Are those days over? Come on, let me hear from somebody. Yanira, Mary, Clemence, let me hear from you.
I unfortunately do not think. I think those days are over. Unfortunately, I heard once that if you went to another country and you said I'm an American citizen, it used to mean something.
Yeah.
And it's not so true today.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, no, there's just so many agendas nowadays. Like you said, we have the Black Lives Matters, the Proud Boys, so many different agendas out there. And we're just clashing. It's lost control. And unfortunately, it'll be.
We're losing you, Yanira. Okay. That's very interesting what you're saying. It sounds like it would be impossible for people to put their differences aside in order to get behind. And what's so tragic about this is that we have such a need to solve our problems in this country. You know, we have such a terrible need, and yet, like you say, there are all these factions that insist on fighting against each other. I don't know how we got all the way over to this topic from the Panama Canal, but it is kind of tied in because, you know, we think about memorializing a great achievement like the Panama Canal. We should also ask ourselves if another kind of achievement, if a similar achievement is even possible today. Can we have a great goal that unites us? And I think what Clemence did for us tonight, she reminded us that it's not that we don't want to do great things, but we need to learn the lessons of the past so that we can do these great things in a better way, in a more just way, in a more comprehensive way. I think that's a really good message to take from this conversation tonight. We have just a couple of minutes left. Anybody want to throw another thought out there? Anybody have another? This is our last, we have 4 more minutes on the Panama Canal. Does anybody else want to add any last thought about this? And then next week, of course, we'll be on the gold rush.
I
Go ahead, Anthony.
actually have a question for you.
Sure.
What would you say is a strong what would you classify as a strong president? The one willing to make the sacrifice, or the one not willing to make the sacrifice? Because a lot of the times that itself can.
I told you I was a child that grew up in the shadow of the Kennedy regime, and the reason why Kennedy was so important for us was not because he was young and not because he was good looking, and you know those things attracted people, but the thing that Kennedy did for a generation, and I can use his own words. He said to us in his inaugural address, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." You know, those words are so far removed from our lives right now. And it seems to me, if I had to take what you told me tonight and put it in my own words, I would say everybody's asking what the country is going to do for them. What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? But Kennedy had said to us, don't ask that question. Ask what you can do for your country. And he inspired us. He was the guy, it was in his presidency that they started the Peace Corps. He had high ideals, and he started the Peace Corps, which was going to be, you know, sacrifice for young people to go help the underprivileged all over the world. And so many people signed up and took 2 years out of their lives and went to join the Peace Corps because he was a president who inspired that kind of ideal in us. Do I think it could happen again? Yes, but I don't know anybody in the political spectrum right now who even comes close. And one more thing, I know I keep talking here, I want you all to talk too, but just one more thing. The media does not let any person be a hero. You know, so if you even take Kennedy, the media loves to talk about all the women Kennedy had and his affair with Marilyn Monroe and what a jerk he was. And so it's like this constant effort at breaking down any person who looks like they might have something good. Even Martin Luther King a couple of years ago, it was horrible what they were saying. And they had these tapes they said which was Martin Luther King and these sex orgies, abusing women. So what they do is they take the people that kindle the high ideals and they destroy them. And what do they leave us with? I will stop there. What else do you want to say? Go ahead. Anybody else can jump in there. We got 1 minute.
I guess just to piggyback off of what you said as far as what Kennedy has said, it's not just, well, I don't know about the sacrifice, you know, if one person sacrifices themselves to make it a greater good, but I mean, there's a lot of presidents or their wives who've done really good things, like the Bushes. I mean, I used to work for Jeb Bush. However, you know, he messed up the education system in Florida. That's what they say he did. But I worked for him for many, many, many years. And, you know, I really appreciated when the mom came out with the idea of No Child Left Behind.
Yeah.
I believe that was one of the best things that well, since I've been, voting and knowing that, wow, this
Yeah.
is, because it helps the lower class people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from present day, I think that was one of the best things anybody have done in a very long time.
Wow. Excellent example, Mary. That's really, really powerful. I didn't know that it was her who came up with that. That's great.
Oh
Wow.
yes, she loved, that was one of her strong suits. She loved, loved, loved reading. She loved
Remember that.
everything about education.
Yeah. I remember she was very pro education, but I didn't know she was the one who came up with that thought. Oh, very good.
Yes.
So that proves that we can be inspired by a high ideal, because a lot of people have gotten behind that notion of No Child Left Behind. It can still happen. Okay, my friends, I promise next week I'm going to try to put my computer in a better place. Maybe I'll get better reception for you. You've done extraordinarily well tonight. I will end the recording now. Next week, I'll begin with a few comments, a historical survey of the Klondike story. Start reading the material. We have 2 weeks on the Klondike Gold Rush, and also go read the stuff about your final assignments. We start week 4 next week. We're halfway there. Okay, good. Thank you very much. I'll say goodnight to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Goodbye.
Doctor,
Yes, yes. Was that Yanira? Was that you? Did you want to say something, Jimmy?
I'm sorry, one quick question. Yes, ma'am, just really quick. I was under the impression that Silver People, we were reading it. I read 2 weeks, for 2 weeks. So I guess in my mind, this was the last week to read it still. So no, we're done with that book?
We are, yes. We were supposed to finish the Panama Canal today, and then now the big reading for next week is it's a PowerPoint presentation. I actually put it in my announcement. You can find it in my announcement. Might be an easier way to get to it. So take a look at the syllabus. Look at the days
Got
on
it.
the syllabus, okay? Thank you for your participation tonight, Yanira. You were great. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Have a good night.